Hi, everyone. I'm Deb Taylor, and I want to welcome you to the Virtual College Exploration for all Ohio students. This evening is being sponsored by the Ohio Association of College Admission Counseling and Strive Scan. I'm glad that you've joined us. I want to go through a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. You can use your Q&A button that's on your screen to type your question at any time to our presenter. Your microphone and your camera are off, so the presenter cannot see you or hear you. Just a reminder, this is one of many sessions that's available. You can go to the OACAC website, oacac.org, to check out the full schedule. This particular session is being recorded. It'll be available in about a week, along with many other recordings. Go to that same website, oacac.org, scroll down, and you'll find a ton of videos that you can go ahead and check out. So I am going to go ahead and pass this off to our presenter.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. I am going to go ahead and share my screen, go through some slides, and then we'll have an opportunity to do a little Q&A at the end. So, if you're thinking of questions or you have some, just type those into the Q&A, whatever, I guess, icon at the bottom there, and I will go ahead and get to those when I finish this presentation, and we can go back to any slides if you want or anything like that. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So again, thank you for joining us. So this is for Miami University's information session. I'm going to jump right in and start talking about the academics at Miami. So we have 5 different academic divisions or colleges, whichever one you want to call them these days. But what we've really tried to do over the past several years is really blur the lines in between them. So starting off right off the bat, you apply to Miami. You do not apply to the College of Arts and Science. You do not apply to the Farmer School of Business. You are applying to Miami, and nobody gets a easier or harder admission review. Everybody gets the exact same. We do have a situation to where you have to be directly admitted to some of our majors to start on those right away, and I will certainly talk about that. But again, no matter what your major is, you can mix and match between the 2 or 3 of these. You can major and minor in several different areas and be done in 4 years. In fact, there's the graduate school is now part of our division simply because we are trying to develop more opportunities for people to leave in 4 years with a bachelor's and a master's degree. You may have heard these be called 4+1 programs, 3+2 in the past. Now we are trying to develop them as 3+1 programs. You get 4 years of the same tuition and potentially 4 years of the same scholarship, but yet you can leave with a bachelor's and master's. And there's several specific ones that we've recently developed in the Farmer School of Business. And then there are some that are in the College of Education, Health and Society as well. Nursing is its own department at Miami because it had typically been housed at our regional campuses. Now we brought it onto the Oxford campus, and we have a very incredible program there, 4-year Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. That is, again, one that you have to be directly admitted to. Again, I'll talk about what that process looks like a little bit later down in this presentation. But you do your clinicals in the area, your 3rd and 4th year. They are incredible clinical opportunities in many different areas of medicine at some of the nation's most highly rated hospitals and health systems. And it's an incredible program, and they are actually working on developing several additional programs in the next couple of years in the health sciences, a PA program, and of course a Master's of Science in Nursing as well. Now, no matter what it is you want to study at Miami, we have this phrase that we always talk about, and it's something that we're very serious to. It's about learning by doing, okay? So it's not just classroom experiences. We need you involved in your collegiate experience, and doing so in a variety of different ways. Number one could be a possibility for research. Now, most people equate this with just sciences or engineering, but that's not the case at Miami. It's literally being done across all of our academic divisions. We have business students doing market research with Fortune 500 companies. We have opportunities for research in English and education. Of course, psychology is big. So it's opportunities for you to take what you're learning inside of the classroom and practically apply it to the world outside, but also spend time with incredible faculty members who are at Miami for one reason and one reason alone: student success, and that's undergraduate focus. We focus everything on the undergraduate experience because that's the majority of our students, and that's who our faculty members are there to serve. So you don't have a lot of situations where you're taught by graduate students. In fact, about 98% of our classes are taught by professors. 100% of the classes within the engineering and business are taught by professors. And even if it is a larger course, our average class size is typically about 30. You are going to be taught by a professor who's going to get to know your name and wants to be a part of your learning situation inside of the classroom and potentially outside of it in things like funded research. But everything across campus puts yourself in a position to learn. College is more than just what you're going to study. It's more than just your major. It is far more than just the degree you take home. You have to learn about being around people from a lot of different backgrounds than you. We have a lot of situations to make this process a lot easier on you. So the residential nature is set to create a community where you can enjoy the college experience with 17,000 other undergrads that are a lot like you, or potentially completely different than you, but either way you find out that you have something in common. One way we do that is how you select your living first year. We have what are called living learning communities. This is where you know that not just your roommate. Most people find their roommate by finding somebody they have something in common with, either somebody they know from home, maybe somebody they met through a social media channel. Or if you even go random, you still have to fill out a compatibility form. So what we do though is have you fill out part of that compatibility form just by choosing where you want to live. These living learning communities are all based on around an interest. It could be an academic interest, it could be an extracurricular interest, but either way, you know that your entire floor, potentially your entire dorm, is people that share something more in common with you than just your age. And you could end up at any one of our 47 different residence halls, most of which are recently renovated or brand new. There is a 2-year on-campus living requirement for anybody that is outside of commuter range, and typically that's about 50 miles or an hour driving distance. Now, there's a lot of great food to be had on campus too. 25 different dining halls on a campus. 5 of those are buffet locations, one on each major residence quad, and then an additional 20 a la carte locations. The amount of options that we have, the incredible service, the incredible quality of our food have all garnered us about 50 different culinary service awards over about the last 15 years. And outside of that, when it comes to just meeting people that have something in common with you, there's no better way than the 600 plus student organizations that we have on our campus. They're all based around interests that you might have had or have always wanted to explore. It could be something career professionally based. It could be something that is based off of service and philanthropy, volunteerism. If you want to be involved in the arts on our campus, we have 86 different performance or fine arts organizations that are just student organizations, but any opportunity to be involved in the arts through the College of Creative Arts as a major or not is open to students of all majors. All you have to do is typically audition, whether it's a vocal performance, instrumental, if it has something to do with the fine arts and studio art, you can be a part of those in a variety of different ways. And then we have a robust Greek system too. 50 different fraternity or sorority chapters. About a quarter of our students are involved in the social Greek system, 1/4. So it's a situation where you wouldn't rush until your second semester of your first year, figure out, get acclimated to campus, figure out if it's something you want to be involved in. If you don't, 75% of our campus is not involved in the Greek system. There's plenty of other things to do. Now, athletics are a part of the way of life at Miami as well. We have 18 Division I programs, most of them competing in the Mid-American Conference. Our hockey team does play in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference, which, if you ask me, is the best collegiate hockey conference in the country. Most of these teams are coming off incredible seasons, championship seasons, including our football team, who is set to defend the MAC title starting on Wednesday. And then if you want to be a fan of these sports, any opportunity to just go watch them in action is of no additional charge to our students. All you have to do is show your student ID. We've never turned a student away, and we never will. If you want to be competitive, but not necessarily at that Division I level, we have 50 different club sports. This is one of the biggest club sports programs in the country, where you have so many options to be a part of these teams and compete intercollegiately. Some of them going for national championships. Our club football team has been to the national championship many times. Our women's hockey team has won the national championship about 3 out of the last 6 years. We have just an enormous amount of highly competitive athletes on our campus, but don't do so to where it's a full-time commitment. Now, The other thing that you can do, it's not necessarily on-campus experience, but studying abroad is something that we put a true emphasis on. Not just because it's an opportunity you're not going to get many other times in life, and that's true. No matter where you go to school, I always suggest you look into this just because simply it's a part of your life that you're going to hardly ever come back to. But we understand the relevance of it. You know, this is a global society. It is a global economy. To be able to live and learn amongst a different culture is going to be essential to any career path that you explore. And we currently have a situation where about half of our students study abroad. That is good enough to be number 3 in the country for study abroad participation among public schools. But we want that number to go up. So we're giving you unlimited opportunities to go up. No matter where you want to go, what you want to study, or how long you want to be there, you can create a study abroad experience. Many of them already exist. We have hundreds of programs going through 90 different countries. One place we make it very easy to study abroad is in the center of Europe. We have a satellite campus in Luxembourg. It's Miami tuition, Miami room and board. You take Miami classes taught by Miami professors. You just do so in the middle of Europe, about an hour train ride from about 9 different countries. And even with all the international travel restrictions that are going on right now, we still do have students studying abroad in Luxembourg right now. Now, this is what it all comes back to. No matter how much fun any of it sounds, it all comes back to a path to success. It's an investment in your future. So we have to make sure that we're putting you in the best position for that investment to pay off. And we not only allow you incredible amounts of opportunities to build a resume throughout your time at Miami, internships, co-ops, it doesn't matter what you are studying. Yes, we have them. And yes, you have tons of opportunities to align yourself with one in the area, across Ohio, across the country, across the globe. It doesn't matter. This is an absolute employer magnet with 47,000 job providers that are actively recruiting Miami students every single day. And a lot of them will do it early on. We have 240 employers at our 2018 and 19 fall job fair that were first year friendly, knowing that after just a couple of months on our campus, our students are going to be ready to have that conversation about internship or co-op opportunities because they know you will have options 4 years down the line. And they want to create a relationship with you because they know the type of talent Miami is creating and they want you to pick their company 4 years down the line. If you're looking to go on to law school or medical school, dental school, PA school, PT school, it doesn't matter. Every single acceptance rate you're going to see across the board from Miami is going to be well above national averages. It all comes down to incredible access to advising. You are never alone in your ability to, one, schedule your classes to get out in 4 years. We are typically one of the top 20 universities in the country of public schools when it comes to 4-year graduation rate. You are also never alone in your ability to plan out your experience to make sure you get into the dental school, law school, medical school of your choice. You have unlimited access to advisors who specialize in those areas who will tell you everything you need to do to get into that school of your choice. And even if you just want to go out and get a job, from the time you step foot on our campus, you know the name and contact information of your personal career services advisor. And you have unlimited access with them over all 4 years to make sure you're doing everything with your time to get the job of your choice. Now, you do have to get in first. So there is an application process that is well underway. We are a Common App school, so that is how you apply to Miami, through the Common Application. You will notice that we have 3 different application types that you select you want to be a part of. That is the tricky part about the Common App. It's not just filling out the one application and sending it everywhere. There's going to be questions for every school that are geared directly towards that institution, and only that school is going to see your answers to those questions. One of the first things we ask you is, what kind of application type do you want with us? You can see 3 different choices. You can pick any one at any time as long as we haven't passed the deadline. Now, almost every school is going to have ones that sound like this. You're going to see the word early, you're going to see the word regular, you're going to see decision and action, and they're all going to seem jumbled up. You got to pay attention to the details because picking the right one can mean a lot for your review at a certain school. Now, as you can see, our 3 different choices have different application deadlines, different decision notification dates. We do not notify you 2 weeks after you submit your application. It is not a rolling school. We do so by date. And potentially a different confirmation deadline when you need to put in your deposit and say, that's where I'm going. The reason why early decision is different there is because that is a binding application. What binding means, and a lot of schools have this opportunity, a lot of them do call it early decision, is as part of that application, you're asked to sign a contract. And that contract states that that's the one and only school you want to go to. You can apply elsewhere, but if you get in there, you're going there. You're instantly committing yourself before you potentially know anything about financial aid or scholarship information. So it's not the best option for everybody. It's usually our smallest application pool, certainly going to be this year. And really, there's only two reasons you would want to do it. Number one is there is a slightly higher acceptance rate than the overall acceptance pool. The second reason, and really the only other reason, is that decision notification date, December 15th. They're the first people to find out, and they're the first people to be done with this college search process. And before the holidays too. So they don't have to go to all those family functions and say for the 9,000th time, I don't know where I'm going to school yet, Grandma. And say, I'm going to Miami, buy me a sweatshirt. Thank you very much. Look, if you want to keep your options open, which most people do, you want to go non-binding. I always suggest early action because it shares the same deadline as our priority consideration deadline. Now, what I said earlier about not submitting your application or not getting a decision 2 weeks after you submit it means that we can make adjustments to your application. So you do not have to worry about sending it in on a deadline. It's not a due date. Do it well in advance because there's several parts of the application too that you potentially won't get access to until 24 hours after you submit your common application to Miami. That happens with the honors application, which I'll go more into depth about in a second, and your self-reported academic record, which I will talk about and why it's so important here in just a second. A couple of things you need to know about what happens though when we do review your application. Number one is we are test optional this year. You do not have to send in test scores. That goes for any single one of our academic opportunities. Every opportunity is completely test optional. If you choose to send those in, you have to mark that on your application, whether or not you want to be considered with test scores or without. Test scores can help you. They would never hurt you. So I'll show you where that comes into play here in just a little bit. This is the self-reported academic record, okay? This is very important. Again, you get access to this 24 hours after you submit your common application. It is going to be on your applicant status page for Miami University. What it is a way for you to plug in all your classes, all your grades, and tell us the level of classes. And it is very important that you get that correct because this is how we're going to review you for your academic rigor, but it's also how we're going to put you in a position to have the same weighting scale. And yes, we do look at weighted GPAs. You will have the same weighting scale as every other applicant who applies to Miami. In-state, out-of-state, private school, public school, doesn't matter. Everyone's going to have the same weighting scale, and this is how you get it. And we are going to use that weighted GPA from your self-reported academic record to review you for scholarship, guaranteed scholarship, which I'll talk about here in a second. But the other thing you need to know is that everything in your application comes into play when you submit it to Miami. We look at everything in a holistic and contextual manner, meaning that there's more that is valuable about your experiences in high school or even before that could prove to us you could be a successful Miami student. I talked at length about those 600 different student organizations. We want students that want to be involved outside of the classroom. So your extracurriculars definitely come into play. We need to know, though, that you can balance your time between what you're doing inside of the classroom and what you're doing outside of it. So your rec letters come into play with that. But your essay is your opportunity. That is your chance to tell us your story. Not a lot of schools do interviews anymore. So that's your chance. We don't do interviews, so tell us what is there beyond the numbers. Give us a reason to think of you in more than just your numbers. You know, I always say that the entire application is like that. If you're letting go any part of the application, even things like your address, and you think it doesn't tell the right story about you, then that's probably going to come across on the other side. So make sure you're taking every advantage of your application because it does come into play. Now, this is the accepted student profile from last year. Just kind of gives you a snapshot of who was accepted when it comes to their academic components. Now, there's a couple things you need to know about this. Number one, we are test optional. So test scores do not necessarily need to come into play with your consideration, but this gives you a sense of where people have been with their test scores over the last couple of years. The other thing though that this does is tell you a little bit about how we look at all of your academics. Talked about GPA and how important weighted is. That is what that asterisk means. We look at weighted GPAs. We put an emphasis on the rigor of your coursework, usually more rigorous courses like honors, AP, post-secondary, dual enrollment, international baccalaureate, college credit plus, whatever. Usually those are weighted. So we put an emphasis on the ability to reward you for that. With test scores, we superscore. We superscore both the ACT and the SAT if you choose to send those in. Meaning that we don't care about anything negative. We are only interested in the most positive aspects of you as a student. Now, when it comes to where you're from, that doesn't come into play at all in the admission process. In-state, out-of-state, doesn't matter. We look at everybody the same. This just gives you a sense to know that we do get applications from almost every other state, and we do actually have representation on our campus of enrolled students from all 50 states, the state of District of Columbia, and 90 different countries. Now, when it comes to honors programs, a couple of things you need to know about honors at the collegiate level. One, it's very different than honors at the high school level. It is not about smaller, harder classes. That's not what it is. It's also not a distinction. It's not about graduating with an honors diploma. I can promise you that there is absolutely no job in the professional world that will look at your diploma and try and verify whether or not you graduated with an honors diploma or not. It's not going to happen. Now, these are opportunities, though, for you to design your education programmatically. You put yourself in a position to make sure that your educational opportunities are going to be the most fulfilled that you want them to be. That's what honors is at the collegiate level, okay? And we do so in a variety of different ways. So there's many different programs that you could consider. Now, I'm going to give you the rundown of all three. There's a lot of information here, so I'm just going to give you the overview of each one. So the Honors College is a very immersive environment. It's about being in the classroom, doing research, is an emphasis on research, and then also bringing that academic experience back home. You live in the Honors College. There's a faculty in residence to continue that mentoring and that opportunity for you to also be around a bunch of highly involved, academically focused students from a variety of different majors. It's really about the breadth of education over many different areas of study. Predessa scholars, this is much more about the depth of education within one academic area that you have a lot of interest in, or potentially a professional area as well. So it doesn't matter what your major is, you can choose from 12 different academic themes that are going to be programmatically set out based off of your choices for 1 year. And then the additional 3 years, you're going to be doing a lot of independent study. There's going to be a lot of one-on-one faculty mentoring and a lot of one-on-one customized career counseling as well. Now, the main difference in terms of the benefits of these programs, honors has priority registration because there is a classroom component to it. Predessa Scholars does not, but you get additional scholarship, $1,000 to $2,000 that will be with you all 4 years of that program, stacked upon anything else you will earn from your grades, which I'll talk about here in a second. Now, the Presidential Fellows, programmatically, is anything you want out of the other two. What it's really about is a premier scholarship opportunity. About 70 students from our entire application pool of accepted students, around 4,000 accepted students, will be selected to compete for 15 spots as Presidential Fellows. Those 15 Presidential Fellows will receive a full 4-year full ride, room and board and tuition, and a $5,000 one-time academic enrichment fund that they can dip into for experiential opportunities. Now, you will notice that the priority application deadline for all three of these is December 1. Again, you don't gain access to the honors program's application until 24 hours after you submit your common application. So if you are interested in these, you need to submit your application beforehand. And especially if you're interested in Presidential Fellows, that is a hard deadline of December 1. That application is going to be one essay. You can go to the honors website to actually find out what the prompt is to prepare it ahead of time. And you just need to submit that essay and select which programs you want to be considered for. I always say select all three. If you get one of them, you can design it to be exactly what you want out of an honors experience. Now, so I talked a lot about scholarships, of course, throughout this entire time. One thing you need to know, and I'm not going to show you the tuition numbers right now, but basically overall for about a year, tuition and room and board for an in-state student is about $30,000. I'm not going to show you what they are because they do change every single year. However, once you start there, your tuition is then locked in for 4 straight years. So once you start, your tuition does not go up. It's just the one for the next class. That's what the Miami Tuition Promise is. It allows you to lock in your tuition, your room and board rate card, any special purpose fees or course fees associated with your major. They're all locked in for 4 straight years. And any scholarships you do receive as a prospective student, they're given in bulk over all 4 years. They're automatically renewed every single year as long as you stay in good academic standing. And they will maintain full value against that tuition that will not rise on you. Now, this is our guaranteed merit scholarship grid. Remember, this is all based off of you completing your application prior to December 1. And one of the steps you need to complete your application is that self-reported academic record. The weighted GPA that comes out of that, if it hits this grid, you go over to your corresponding range, you would be guaranteed to receive the low amount of the range you're associated with. How you move up has to do with several different factors. Number one is the rigor of your coursework. So the more you take advantage of the hard classes that are offered at your high school, the highest level, the better of an opportunity you have of moving up. The second would be test scores. Again, you do not have to submit them. They would never hurt you. But if you do submit them and they can help you, this is a place where they might be able to do that. The third is the one you have the least amount of control over. It's the competitiveness of the applicant pool. We only have so much money to give out, and we only have so many accepted students. So the more competitive this applicant pool is, the harder it is for us to move people up in these ranges. And that's why we would never be able to pinpoint where you might be based off of your accomplishments until we know what the entire applicant pool looks like after December 1. Now, the free application for federal student aid is certainly where the process begins for any need-based aid. You can see some recommended deadlines there. That's the website where you can fill that out or at least get started on it. Look, it's always recommended that you fill this out. What it does is essentially give every school you're interested in all their financial aid offices. It gives them everything they need to go out in search of money for you. Yeah, it's a lot about loans, but it can generate grants and scholarships. You know, for us, though, in terms of those merit scholarships, this information would never affect that. We don't even need this. If you don't submit it, we're still going to review you for merit-based scholarships, but we just wouldn't be able to look in for any need-based aid for you. Now, that's going to pretty much do it for my presentation. If you do have any questions and you just want to pop those into the Q&A, I would be happy to answer anything that you might have. See that we have some participants in here. So if you just want to throw something in the Q&A, I would be happy to cover any of that live for you. I do actually have some additional contact information for you so that if you ever had any additional questions, you could always go to our website. You could always go to the tours and events and find out more about visiting. And then, of course, you could always connect with your specific admission counselor based off of where you live. Oh, could you please clarify which majors outside of nursing are direct admit? Absolutely, Allison. Thank you so much for that question. I'm sorry I didn't get to that sooner. It is any major within the Farmer School of Business and most majors within the College of Creative Arts and nursing. Those are the only 3 entities that do that. So you have nursing, College of Creative Arts, and business. Now with business, it's a size constraint. They only have room for about 800 to 900 first-year business majors, and they get a lot more interest than that. So essentially, you apply to Miami, we review you as if you are just a Miami student, and then if we see any business major marked as your #1 choice of major, it can even be business undecided, we will pass your application over to them. They are going to decide through that and through the competitiveness of the applicant pool. They're going to do a holistic review whether or not they think you'll be invited to that. Now they invite way more than the 800 and 900 they have space for, knowing that everybody's going to take them up on that. But if you're in, great, you start on your business curriculum right away. If you're not in, you are still into Miami, and there is a guaranteed path to become a business major as early as your 2nd year. Now with creative arts, it's a little bit different. Let's say you want to be a vocal performance major. Well, you got to make sure you can sing a little bit. So there's going to be an audition with that. Those are talent-based majors. There's usually a talent evaluation that goes along with them. Now with nursing, like I said, you start in that nursing curriculum right away, so they have to make sure you're ready for that. It can be, actually, that tends to be the most competitive programs to start on direct admit, mostly because there is no path into nursing outside of that direct admit through the front end. If you get in, great, you are a nursing student right away. And you are a nursing student all 4 years. There's no reevaluation process that happens at all. If you don't get in though, and all you want is a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Miami might not be the best option for you at that point, because again, there's no re-entry into that program. Thank you for bringing that up, Allison. I meant to talk about that a little bit more. Is there a virtual campus tour offered? Yes, absolutely. If you go to that miamioh.edu/visit, there is a virtual tour that you can see right there. If you go to miamioh.edu/self-guided tour, there's actually videos at each of these main spots of our tour guides telling you a little bit more about those spots. So that can be used as a self-guided walking tour if you have the opportunity to come to campus and don't have an opportunity to tour with our tour guides. Or you can just watch it as a virtual campus tour. Thank you very much for asking that. It's a great question. Neuro wants to know, can you please talk about your engineering program? Yeah, absolutely. So we have majors in most of the traditional areas of engineering. We have mechanical, chemical, electrical, biomedical. You also have computer engineering, software engineering, computer science, which is those are typically rated as some of the best computer science programs in the country. Usually overall, our engineering school is usually ranked about top 30 in the country for undergraduate engineering programs. We just added a robotics engineering major as well. There's a really cool major called engineering management that a lot of people will utilize as a double major within engineering. It's actually a hybrid of a lot of courses within engineering and business, kind of teaches you the business side of engineering. So tons of opportunities to kind of specialize within those. Cybersecurity is being developed as a major as well. Right now, we have tons of professors that are doing research on cybersecurity as well. So that's always an opportunity, even if we don't have it necessarily as a named major. So it's a great program, and there is no direct admit consideration either. If you get into Miami and you want engineering to be your major, that's your major. So it's an incredible program. Small student to faculty ratios, lots of opportunities to get hands-on experience early on. And, literally, if you graduate from engineering from Miami, you are going to have multiple job offers. It's just the way it happens. All right. Can you describe your speech pathology undergrad program? Absolutely. It's one of the best in the country in terms of speech pathology for undergrads. Reason being is because we actually have a clinic on campus, and you get real live clinical experience as an undergrad student, which is not what you can say for many speech path programs across the country. I've known dozens of speech path majors. For some reason, they love being tour guides. So we typically get a bunch, and every single one of them had multiple offers for graduate programs, most of them getting incredible opportunities for assistantships where most of their grad program was paid for as well. So great program, can't speak highly enough about it. If you want to connect to any students that are in it, I know a bunch that are tour guides. If you go on this admission at miamioh.edu, and just, or if you go to meet the staff, click on Colorado. That's my recruitment territory. And just email me if you want to talk to students that are in that specific area or any area. I can always connect you with those. What are the zoology options like that Miami offers? Oh my gosh, zoology is an incredible program. First of all, a lot of opportunities for experiential learning, okay? Research opportunities that are being done on about 1,000 acres of natural area that are right behind our campus. I've known zoology students that have gone to study voles, which apparently are just like a mole. I don't really know why they necessarily have a different name than that. I know of students that went down to that natural area, and they actually got to catch bullfrogs, and they painted them with this phosphorescent paint, and then they went back down in the middle of the night and kind of were able to observe them hopping around. They monitored their breeding habits and all kinds of different stuff. We also have a live watershed program that is done in Pennsylvania. things that are done on the Great Lakes. We have study abroad programs in zoology that go down to third world countries as part of like Veterinarian Without Borders. I know a student who was a pre-vet zoology major that went and did large animal surgeries. I'm talking, he did surgeries on horses and cows while he was down in Belize over our winter term. I've known people that go to Africa to study great cats. We have internship opportunities with all the major zoos that are along, right around us: Indianapolis Zoo, Cincinnati Zoo, Cleveland Zoo, Columbus Zoo. So literally the opportunities throughout the zoology are just incredible. Looks like that's the last question I have right now. We still do have about 10 minutes left. So if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to throw those in there. Again, you can always connect with us and find your specific admission counselor by going to miamioh.edu/meet the staff. Those are typically the people too that will be reviewing your application. If you go to miamioh.edu /visit, you're also going to see an opportunity on there for our open house. We have 2 that are coming up on November 6th and 7th. Those do come with a fee waiver. So if you go to those, you can have your application fee waived. It will explain totally how that happens. If you've already applied and paid the fee waiver and you go to that open house, they will refund your application fee. I got another question up here. Does Miami accept college credit? Yes, absolutely. In the way of IB, in the way of AP, any Ohio Public actually has to accept a 3 or above as credit on any AP exam, including College Credit Plus. We offer College Credit Plus, so we give you credit for it. Literally anything you take outside of maybe things that are extremely specialized are going to come in as at the very least graduation credits. What they will mostly do is count as a specific class that you can put towards your graduation requirements, whether it be part of your major or not. Couple of different ways to do that. Number one is going to be transferology.com to see how it would transfer if you are talking about college level courses you've taken in high school. So transferology.com, you go to it, you plug in the classes that you're taking at this certain school, whatever community college or normal college it is, and then you go over and select Miami on the other side and it'll tell you how it transfers. If you don't know for sure, or it's giving you not 100% of a match, you can always send in the transcript from whatever college you got college credit from to our registrar, and they will do a free transfer credit evaluation for you. Tell me how many credits it's coming in as and what classes it's coming in as. That's a great question. Another one that you can always do is you can always look at in terms of those AP scores and the IB scores. If you just type in AP credit in the search bar of our website, the first link is going to take you to a website that literally has a listing of every AP score, AP test, or IB test. What is the score you need to get a certain amount of credits and certain classes as well. Sometimes a 4 or 5 will get you a lot of credits. I know in most foreign languages, a 5 can get you up to like 14, 16 credits. It's pretty outrageous. And there's no limit on the amount of credits you can bring in as a first-year student too. Good questions here. Got about 5 minutes, so if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type those into the Q&A. Again, if you don't, you can always go to these websites here and visit more in terms of the the opportunities that we have to dig in deeper to the academic sessions. The visit component too does have the registrations for our live campus tours, which we are doing right now, but only for seniors at this point in time. We have limited availability, so we can always talk about that. I'm debating a career in radiology. Can you talk if Miami does anything specific with that? Yes, I can, Ashley. Well, when it comes to radiology, I mean, when you're talking about potentially being like a radiology tech, I mean, we have a lot obviously in the way of engineering, which is going to tell you a lot about how radiology works, or potentially in the sciences as well. But typically the people that go to Miami, at least Oxford campus, and want to get into radiology, you're talking about being like a radiologist, like a doctor. So they go through a pre-med program and then they end up going on to medical school in those areas. So it's radiology is typically something you can get as like a 2-year degree if you want to be like a radiology tech. But if you're talking about going deeper and becoming like a radiologist or a dentist, they use a lot of radiology too. Miami is definitely the path for that, for those kind of specific things as well too. Good question. All right. Anything else? I got a couple more minutes here. I'd be glad to answer for you. But again, those open houses are going to be great opportunities to dig in a little bit deeper as well. We have live student tours as part of that, live student panels. We also have, live presentations and panels within most of our academic areas, specific meetings with professors within, really specialized areas too. So always a great opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper. But if anybody did have any questions about any specific majors or anything like that, I'm happy to answer those with the remaining 5 minutes that I have. All right, well, doesn't look like anybody has any additional questions. I want to thank everybody again for joining me tonight. Again, there's tons of opportunities to stay connected with us at Miami. All those opportunities you see on the right, and connecting with your specific admission counselor is usually just a good idea in the sense of opening up a line of communication with Miami that can be easily, there for you. Like I said, when you submit your application, it's not set in stone. We can make adjustments to it. I just got 3 emails today from counselors in Colorado who were sending me new Common App essays for students because they had submitted it while making a mistake on it, and they either submitted the wrong essay or they submitted with a typo, and they wanted to make sure they could get that updated. No problem. Takes 20 minutes. I just got to forward on the email, put a little bit of information in there about the student. We get it taken care of. So there's always opportunities to do that. Let's say you submit your application, you say you don't want test scores to be considered, but then all of a sudden you take it and you get this outrageous score. Send an email to your counselor and say, I'd like to have my test scores submitted. I just sent those in, and I'd like to have them considered for maybe extra merit money. We can look into that. Absolutely. So plenty of opportunities to do that. All right. Well, it looks like we got a couple of people dropping off, and I'm certainly thankful that you're able to join me tonight. If you have any questions, again, get in touch with us. But other than that, I'm going to sign off here. It looks like we're ready to wrap up anyway. So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. I'm glad that you could join us. After you close your window, there will be a very quick 4-question survey. We would really appreciate your feedback. As always, this is being recorded. You can check the website oacac.org for this recording and many more. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good evening.